Dear listeners, like you have built something once, then you have crossed the finish line, felt the validation of an exit, the weight of proving a concept to the world, right? I mean, it is huge, right? And then you start again, not because you have to, but because something still pulls you at. Most people think that entrepreneurship is a young person's game, that risks appetite, shrinks with age, that by your 50s, the smart move is to the coast. I mean, but what if that's exactly when you have the clarity, the patience, the honesty with yourselves to build something that exactly matters? Good to think about, right? So, dear listeners, welcome back to another powerful episode of Mind Meets Machine. I'm your host, Avik, and this is the podcast where we sit with the choices that actually shapes us, the systems that we create, and the courage it takes to begin again when the world expects you to be done. And today, dear listeners, I am joined by a very lovely guest. Please welcome Vikram Chalana. So, welcome to the show.
Hey, Avik. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Vikram, for joining us today. And dear listeners, like it's needless to mention, but still, I'll just quickly introduce you with Vikram. So, Vikram is the CEO and co founder of Pictory AI, who started his company in his 50s, raised over $2 million, and is working to democratize video creation to artificial intelligence. That's really awesome, right? So, I do not want to take much of your time. Let's get started. Welcome to the show again, Vikram.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Vikram, like, there's this narrative that entrepreneurship belongs to the young people, the hungry one, the hustlers, the ones with nothing to lose, right? And you started Victory in your 50s after already leading to company to exit. So, what is the most persistent misconception that people have about starting over later in life, and where does that belief fall apart when you actually live it? What do you say?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of value in experience. So sometimes that gets disregarded. But I mean, I can argue that either way. Sometimes too much experience is
Yeah.
also a barrier. But
Yeah.
but but I think there is value in having done something once, having created a network, having created a buffer, if you will, in terms of, life. I don't, if I get to my 50s, there's a little bit of savings that I've kind of created along the way, and I have a little more comfort zone. So there's a lot of advantages coming in.
Mm.
You're coming in, you have people that you know that you can hire, if you will. You've seen problems that you might know, hey, I can solve this.
Mm.
And then you've had the experience. Now what happens though is the experience doesn't always translate right as is, because unless it's the exact same business in an exact same industry, you're going to completely start from scratch. So in some
Mm.
ways, any new business, any new market, any new product, it's like you're at level zero, and then you're
Yeah.
kind of building that up. So you have to know, like, very importantly, like, why you're doing it. So for me, I'll give you my kind of story and why I started this again. But that's kind of very important. And then
Mm.
the what will change. The how you've learned along the way. So the how
Mm.
kind of remains, that how we did my previous one and how I'm going to do it again. The what will change. You might have some ideas that you begin with, but then over time you iterate through and changes it. But the why is the key thing. So to me, the why was, hey, I'm still young. I still feel like I have a lot of energy that I have to give. The why was, I really want to work with really smart people that I've interacted with in the past, that I've worked with in the past, or others who are really smart, and I want to continue to learn from them. And the third why for me was some unfinished business I had in my previous journey. So in my previous journey, I started from, it wasn't a 0 to 1 journey. It was, I want to say, 1 to 10 journey. I bought a product that already existed, and then I scaled that company up, scaled that product, scaled that company to a pretty big organization, about 300 people globally. But I didn't experience the 0 to 1 piece. So I felt like there was a little bit of a unfinished business there that I needed to come back and do it again. So that was part of the why. Part of the why was, again, working with amazing people, and part of the why was keeping my brain engaged with new things. And you talk about healthy mind, and I think a big part of healthy mind is keeping your body and brain engaged.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. True. Very true. And yes, I mean, healthy mind is something which is very easy to say, but it's again, you need to maintain, you need to follow, you need to focus on. So, and I believe it's never too late to think and start as a kind of healthy mind for ourselves. I mean, it is very important in our day-to-day life. And so, I mean, so when you were raising that seed around, right, did investors ever voice that hesitation? Like, even, I mean, subtly also, like, how did you address it without becoming defensive?
I So because I had a successful exit, that was a thing that a lot of people wanted to ride on, but also like people were skeptical, and not necessarily because of the age, but because I had a successful exit. Is like, okay, we don't think you're going to be hungry enough to kind of build that, which is kind of what you said as well. One example, by the way, that I really got motivated by, I watched the story of the founding of McDonald's.
Yeah.
Ray Kroc, who is the founder of McDonald's, he started the first McDonald's at 56. He was 56 years old when he first set up the thing, and then it's become a sensation globally everywhere. You see hundreds, thousands of branches. So there are lots of great examples of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs having started later in life. And investors, yeah, they will never express things directly. You just what's interesting is you still will hear a lot of no's even even after having a successful exit. And so people have their own thesis, people have their own ways of looking and investing.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. Yeah. And I think what strikes me here is like how much we confuse energy with the wisdom. Like there's a kind of efficiency that comes from having failed before, from knowing which kind of battles matter. So age doesn't tell that, it with time it refines it. So yeah. And so like you mentioned that this experience sharpened your focus on the sustainable growth also, like clear metrics, disciplined execution. So those actually sounds like lessons learned the hard way. So I mean, if you can share like what pattern or habit from your first venture did you have to unlearn to build Pictory differently? Like, I mean, if you can share something.
Yeah, I think one thing that I use the phrase cleaning the toilets. So,
Okay.
as an entrepreneur, as a 0 to 1 entrepreneur,
Yeah,
you have to be ready for that again. You
exactly.
have to be ready to do everything. So, including answering support tickets at 2 in the morning, to, doing cold calls to sales, to customers or investors. So, you have to do everything.
Exactly.
And that's the habit that over the years of doing my first startup, I kind of had built a team for everything.
Yeah,
So it was like, okay, I could focus on product or strategy, and I didn't have to do these other things. But when you start all over again from zero, you have to do everything. So I
very
I
true.
don't I don't know if I clearly answered your question there, but I think there's also like there is always a new market, new way of doing things. AI has changed everything now. Like there's so much that we are having to relearn on how to do things, that you know things have become amazing, and things have become so hard at the same time, because there's so
Mm,
much more competition. There is
yeah,
so much more, both from competition from new companies coming into the mix, and also from customers saying, hey, I can do it myself, I don't need your product to do this.
exactly. No, definitely. I mean, it's really interesting, like how success can calcify certain instincts because we double down on what actually worked once. And I mean, even when the context has completely shifted or changed. So, I mean, unlearning might be harder than learning, but because it asks you to disrupt your own proof, so might be it is harder, but yeah, it is true. So if we talk about our from our daily life, like democratizing video creation, right? Because as a content creator, and because I was also into product designing. So I mean, earlier video creation is something which is very kind of I'd say creative. It's more human, and now I mean it sounds very kind of aspirational, but in practice it means people who have never thought of themselves as creators suddenly they have access to the tools and used to kind of require entire teams and all. So what does that shift actually look like in someone's day-to-day life? Like, what do you think? I mean, what changes when a person realizes that they can make something that they couldn't have thought of before as well?
Yeah. See, the examples I keep seeing this among our customers and in the market in general. The human creative element doesn't go away.
Mm,
That always remains the same. Somebody storytelling, coming up with the creative story idea, coming up with what to talk about.
yeah,
the
exactly.
and the reason why you should talk about it, like those are still very human, very important to have. So, but the execution of it has gotten easier now.
Mm,
You may not need to film, may not need studio space. You can use AI to generate pieces. You can stitch them together really easily with tools like Pictory. And so the execution of it has become easier.
mm,
The distribution is still the challenge. So it's not like the whole thing, out of that whole thing, you still have to come up with your idea and your story. Uh, AI can help you in the creation part of it, and it can speed up that process. But you're still responsible for, okay, how are you going to get it in front of the audience? What
mm.
channels you're going to use? How you're going to advertise. So there are still lots of human elements in the mix. It's just speeding up certain parts.
Correct, exactly. So have you seen cases where that access becomes overwhelming, like where the barrier was not just technical but psychological, like anything?
All the time, like people are afraid to get started, right? Like I'm sure you've as you talk to folks, you know people like, okay, what if nobody comes? What if there's a fear of rejection before even you get
Yeah,
started on
yeah,
something,
yeah.
and you have to get out of that zone. But I mean, that's true in anything in life, not just video creation.
Definitely, definitely true. This one. I mean, that fear is something. I mean, which one has to challenge and move forward. So, I mean, talking about the moving forward, like building anything long term, it means obviously hitting the walls, like kind of losing the momentum, watching kind of metrics flatten, or people leave, or competitors move faster. I mean, when that happens, when the initial energy fades and you are in the middle of it, then what is the conversation you have with yourself? Keep going. Like, how has that conversation changed from your first company to now?
I do a lot more meditation now as I've
Okay.
gotten older, and
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot more calmer in the process, and the attitude that I've adopted now, and it actually works really well. And I'm sure it worked before too. I was just not very aware of it, but now that you're more mindful, you're aware of it.
Mm,
It's the f- it's thinking of every day as the first day, right? I call it the day one attitude, right? And Jeff Bezos writes about it a lot, in fact, I think one of Amazon's building is named Day One building. So, but I really like that, because the struggles of the past year or 2 years, or how the whatever the you can't change the past. You can only change what you can look forward to. And if you say, hey, today is the day one, I'm building this for the future, that always helps you reset, right? Okay, you can be forward looking. You can be something there can be something you can look forward to. And so I have done a lot of reading and research about theories of happiness, and there is one important thing that comes up over and over again. It's like that always have something that you're excited about in the future. And so that attitude always helps when the going gets tough. I also maintain a gratitude journal.
mm.
So every day you keep writing things that you're grateful for, and then that you can bring that up during the the really low periods.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and do you find that the stakes feel kind of different this time? Like, or it is more than your relationship to uncertainty has shifted. Like, I mean,
Absolutely, yes. And again, it's part of a meditation. It's part of just growing older. You realize everything keeps changing. The impermanence of things, impermanence of life in general, impermanence of your health, impermanence of your age, impermanence of your relationships. Everything keeps changing all the time. And this the same thing in business too. Like there's
exactly.
the same impermanence exists in platforms and products and competitors and yeah, everything.
That's amazing. I mean, I think that there's a maturity in accepting that motivation is not a kind of constant. That some days you show up because you said you would, but not because you feel inspired. And maybe that's the real edge. Like, not the fire, but that steadiness when the fire's gone. So, and I mean, it's really great. And if you have to give one advice to the listeners or the youngsters or who are actually thinking of starting their own, what would you guide them?
Yeah, I think the thing I keep telling people, young people I meet, is that the three words that form the Nike slogan I really like. Just do it, right?
Just do it.
Because
Yes.
we always create barriers around ourselves. I don't have enough experience. I have too much experience. I don't have this. I have too much of this. I nobody will show up or there's like every reason that people can find about not doing something. There's thousands of reasons why you can say no, but you only need one reason to just go ahead and do it. And that's so if you're thinking about it, you've contemplated it. Of course, entrepreneurship is risky. Like it's not
Yeah.
if you're going to quit your job and start do a startup or is there is going to be risks around it about your income and so on. But I think there's like lots of readings you can do about mitigating risks. You can start as a consultant. You can start as a creator. Like there's a whole bunch of ways you can kind of,
Exactly.
start with that. But
Mm,
the important thing is starting.
exactly. Yeah. Amazing. And so, if listeners wants to connect with you, how they can connect?
Yeah. So I am on LinkedIn a lot, Vikram Chalana. And you can find me. You can find our company, Pictory. You can find our company's website, pictory.ai. And yeah, so LinkedIn and my website.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Vikram, for joining us. And my dear listeners, what do is I'll put all the links, details, everything into the show notes so that I can easily reach out to Vikram. And I'd say, I mean, starting over is not just about erasing what came before, but it is all about trusting that everything you have learned actually counts. That beginning again is its own kind of continuation, I'd say. So thank you, Vikram, for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for being here. And I'd say like not every beginning has to be loud. Like some of the most important ones starts very quietly, like in a moment when you stop waiting for the permission and kind of just begin, right? This is very simple. So I do not want to get more into it. I believe you have really enjoyed this conversation with Vikram and have learned also. And I also being a creator, being a podcaster and a product designer, I really encourage all of you also just do it. Right. It is very important. And with this is your host, Avik, and this has been Mind Meets Machine. So take care of your mind and let it meet the world with a little more courage than it did yesterday. Right. So thank you so much.
Awesome.